Tracy, as I alluded to in the introduction, there's a gun grab about to take place in Vancouver. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think I framed that correctly. It's not actual guns that shoot bullets. It is gun-shaped lighters. These are like novelty items. And if you are caught in the beautiful streets of Vancouver, even I presume on East Hastings Street, which might be the most dangerous street, the worst of the worst I've seen in North America, you can face a $1,000 fine. Tracy, you have forgotten more about firearms than anyone else on this panel is ever going to learn. Can you make sense of this for us?
Well, look, you've got Vancouver Mayor Ken Sims and council in all their wisdom. There's a lot going on there in Vancouver. You've got tent cities popping up. There's violent crime all over the place, repeat violent offenders getting out, stranger attacks. So what is the focus of Vancouver City Council? It is, of course, silly novelty barbecue lighters. So, this should solve the violent crime problem in Vancouver and probably all across the country at this rate.
Tracy, it's incredible because some 20 years ago, when Ezra, my beloved boss man, was the publisher of Western Standard, I did a Toronto story for him. And it was something that the City of Toronto and the Toronto Police Service had initiated. It was called Gunplay No Way. And what it was, you bring in your gun to a police division, surrender it, no questions asked, and what you get is a politically correct toy, like a Nerf ball, something that can't harm anyone. Oh, Tracy, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention one very important detail. This wasn't about real guns. They were having a toy gun buyback amnesty. Why does it seem to be, at least in my eyes, Tracy, that politicians are just concerned about feel-good optics when this does nothing to address any kind of illegal firearm problems in our country?
Well, the problem is with most levels of government, the politicians are actually a result of a popularity contest. There's no prerequisites, there's no requirements, there's no credentials required to become a politician. You just have to get other people to vote for you. And there's all kinds of sordid ways you can make that happen. And the result of that, of course, is you end up with a group of people who, number one, don't have the best interests of their constituents in play, but they also don't have any topic knowledge or any expertise in these areas. They totally ignore the voices of experts or law enforcement and instead focus on silly novelty things like this that have no credible impact on public safety.
I agree. It's shameful. Alexa, as the presumably one person on this panel who was actually shot by a real gun, brandished by a police officer, what do you make of this madness?
I think you just say it. It's madness. I just came back from the border and we are seeing people crossing illegally by tens, 20, 30 people by big group, not being caught. Those people are crossing illegally with probably some guns or some drugs, and we actually are not focusing on this massive problem. During this time, we are attacking lighters instead of really going against the real criminals that are exploiting our border everywhere. The border is so long, they can just smuggle so many illegal guns that are the problems. But instead of that, they are going to gunslighters.
It's crazy. I've never heard of anyone being killed or even injured, for that matter, by a gun-shaped lighter. Drea, you live in Vancouver, of course, and I'm not suggesting you do this, but if I was in your city, I think I'd call the cops on myself, or by law, whoever's going to enforce this nonsense. I would have a gun-shaped lighter, And let's go to court. Let's get this nonsense thrown out on a constitutional basis. This is a novelty. This is not a gun. This isn't going to harm anyone unless you have arson on your mind. What do you think?
Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I feel so much safer knowing that in Vancouver, these gun lighters are going to be banned. As long as gun crack pipes are still accessible, that's what really matters. But you're right, it's just a novelty. We all know that when it comes to gun crime, it's illegal guns that are the issue and the criminals who are handling that. But just let's put it into perspective of what the mayor and councillor are championing here in fentanyl capital of the world. We have Mayor Sim is a perfect example of some of the dangers that we're seeing that he's not going after. He had to get police escort for bomb threats. His house has been targeted. His family's been threatened with, anti-Israel protesters. No one cracking down on that when it comes to Vancouver streets. And, just news reports have come out about a opioid that is 40 times more deadly than fentanyl that is now coming out illegally. I think I put a link there to it. It's coming out in PlayStations and basketballs. It's being smuggled into here. Can we talk about that for a minute? Can we actually protect the public from a safety threat like that that's affecting kids, of course, as I've reported on overdose? So it's just, what are we paying these people in their fat salaries to sit there and do and gaslight us about when they tell us they're protecting us and they're so happy for patting themselves on the back?
And by the way, I just want to add on this. Recently in the news, they actually announced that Montreal had more homicide than in Toronto. And what the police is doing, blocking journalists who try to do their job, or just going after, a ridiculous kind of infraction instead of really cracking down on what is going on in Montreal. Montreal has turned into an unsafe place and is growing, and it seems like everybody is turning a blind eyes on what is going on in this city.
You're so right, Alexa. I mean, I personally think the Montreal police are the worst of the worst. And, what a come to Jesus moment for me, being a big fan of Just for Laughs gags. You'd see these practical jokes where the police service has offered their cruisers and their uniforms. It was staggering. I can't think of any other police service that would do that. And I go, wow, what nice guys. They're in on the joke. Then I find out this is just public relations whitewashing. Behind those smiling cops is really a bunch of Attila the Huns. But don't want to get off on a tangerine there. One last question to you, Drea, because you are in Vancouver. You've met and interacted with bylaw and police officers. Is this a nothing burger with cheese? I mean, a year from now, will we learn of even one charge against somebody in Vancouver for having a lighter in the shape of a gun?
Well, when I was reading the article that we've shown on the screens a couple of times, I was waiting for it to be like, Vancouver residents who own stores are complaining that they're getting robbed with these. I was waiting to see that, and I didn't see it. Instead, I see that they're threatening the store owners who sell them with the same fine. So I think that's some proof, but maybe it's worth reaching out. How many situations have had to be cracked down over these lighters?